Well, Dave, you know the rules here. No goddamn motherfucking guarantees. The only thing we know for sure is we're gonna have a goddamn good time. You know why? Because through the thick and thin, good times and bad times, we're always having a good time here.
Always, baby.
Always.
No lie, no shame there. We're always just balling our balls off because that's just what we do in life. So, yeah, Mark and I were just talking about our fishing trip, which we're leaving on Friday for. We're pretty fucking stoked for that. I've already started packing. It's going to be a cold one, but I'm pretty excited, man.
Lake Erie.
You pull out the map. Nice.
Pennsylvania. Go
Lake
for some
Erie,
big
baby.
ol' steelhead. Bro, I said it before, 6 inches is not a small package. But for the steelhead, that would be unacceptable.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm not fucking around with 6-inch steelhead.
Man, dude, obviously we're pumped up. And we're pumped up that you guys are joining us for another episode. Man, we got done playing against a very good team without a very good player on their team, without their two best players. But what we got a sense of after playing the Milwaukee Bucks was a sense of the intensity of a championship team.
Oh, yeah.
They have that mentality in their arena. They're loud. They're rambunctious. They're pumped up. They were jeering people when they missed dunks and airballed shots and things, which we got to see all of that. And we also saw a crazy game from a player, Bobby Portis. But, in the end, we're a young team. They're one of the oldest teams in the NBA. And we can find some positives. And the one that I want to really, really highlight is it too early to say that Josh Giddey has improved his shot?
No, not
Okay.
at all. I mean, I know he's played limited games.
Let's get high.
All
Let's
right.
get high as a kite, bro.
Yeah.
What-
Guys want to get high?
What is... Tally, get the fuck out of here. But no, what do you think? What do you think if we're going to get all hype, bro? Like,
Yeah.
explain it to me, because I think last I looked, it was like 35%. Well, I mean, I'm rounding, right? I always round because I don't really
It's like
give
36.
a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so, but we've had multiple games where he's hit 2 3-pointers in them now.
Yeah.
I think we're at 4 games out of,
Yeah.
so he's hit 4. He's had 4 games where he's hit 2 threes. The way he's shooting the ball is more confident. The way that the ball is coming out of his hands is more confident. We're seeing more.
Sure.
I would say, like, he understands his responsibility when he gets a shot off. The one I'm thinking of, I think it was this last game where he caught the ball and the ball was in rotation. He wasn't ready, right? And so he went ahead and did his step into it after he caught the ball and he shot it, right? Like, understanding what he needs, the conditions he needs to shoot the ball with confidence. It's hard to shoot the ball flat-footed. You really need to have the proper arc, and you need to have your body underneath the shot properly when you're shooting from that range. And it seems like all of those things are happening. When you see a player who has the shooting mechanics that he has, the percentage that he has, and really what we're looking for is that wrist snap to the ball having good rotation and going in the hoop. And when you see
Sure.
those start to take place, you're like, okay, what age is he? Okay, he's got all the mechanics worked out. But some people are going to wait. They're going to be like, we need to see it play out over a year. And obviously, if we know, like, if we see it play out over a year, then we'll have answers. But we don't have those answers right now. So I just want to speculate on this. And I just want to say his shot is looking really, really good. Irregardless of this Chip in Engelland madness, which, look, it's fun. And it's really, really fun. So we should all get behind it. But in the end, like, if that was not there and we were just looking at what he's doing this year, shooting-wise, you'd be like, damn, dude, this guy looks good.
Yeah. Well, I looked at all the players, and I said before the season, when we knew we had Chip and we knew that Chip was going to be working with these guys, I said that Josh's shot was going to be the easiest to fuck with. you know, without messing up the shot. You know, like, hey, Josh, switch this up. Hey, Josh, switch this up, you know? Watching that and recognizing that, like, Josh's shot is going to continue to get better. And yes, it's early in the season, and yes, he's going to go through a drought, and yes, he's going to go through a hot time, and it's just part of the season. But I think this is where he's going to end up around the end of the season, is that 35, you know, to 38% three-point shooting, which is great. The person that I thought that was going to have the hardest time with the switch was Dort, you know, and watching how Dort has been coming out, his shot, it looks a lot different. It looks, if you watch the mechanics in slow motion, it looks a lot different than it did last year. And that's because of what, you know, Coach Chip and inevitably helping him out. Dort had a couple, you know, hitches, just like Shea had a couple hitches in his shot. Those seem to be working out. So I'm looking at Josh and I'm saying, okay, Josh didn't have to change his shot very much. The mechanics were already there. Chip tweaked it. And now we're sitting in a position that he's averaging 36, up from what, 20-something last year, 20-something% last year. So, you know, this is not. I don't think this is
as far as tweaking his shot.
What's that?
Sorry. As far as tweaking his shot, I want to say a little bit about that because, like, I think that maybe is a bit of like kind of a misconception about what's been happening right now. I think. And it seems really simplified, and people will probably think that I'm understating it, and that's fine. But I actually think that that old thing that we've all heard growing up, which is practice makes perfect, and then somebody comes along with a smart ass and says, no, perfect practice makes perfect, and you're like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Well, I think that what we're looking at is actually more of an adjustment of repetition. Like, he's saying, like, look, I want you to practice this way, and I want you to focus with intention on, like, your follow through, on getting your hand underneath the shot with the right balance. Like, and if you practice with these conditions, then you'll understand what you're looking for in a game. Whereas before it was kind of like he was shooting it, and understandably so, like a kid shoots it when they kind of just like launch it, right? They get up underneath it, and like they can be good at shooting.
He's giving them discipline through their shot.
Right. He's saying, right, like in the drills I've seen, right? They're standing in front of the basket. They're doing the very beginner level drills. But here's the thing. With that, if you understand that, like, practicing and having that repetition, right, and saying we can smooth out the hitch through just practicing the fundamentals, not trying to target a hitch, not saying we're trying to change your shot, just by saying, like,
you're right.
It will happen as a product of doing the simple things slowly and doing it right over time. And so I think that's why.
But you think about your shot more. When it's just you doing that shooting in the gym, you're thinking about it more. You're contemplating every single action and stuff like that. And that's That's more what I see with what Dort's happening.
If you're out there, when you think back when you were playing, right, and you've missed a free throw. Now, you can say, I'm going to fucking make this free throw. That's not actually going to help you, right? Right. If you miss 2 or 3 and you've gone through it of like getting angry at yourself and you've decided, okay, for sure, that is not going to fix it, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to focus on? You're going to focusing on making sure your knees are bent because maybe you're tired. You're going to make sure that you focus on your follow through and making sure you're like leaning into your shot versus fading out. What happens? Your increase of focus goes back to what? The fundamentals. And I think what's happened with him before is he increases his focus, but he's still just like launching the ball. And it's like, it's like the difference when you shoot the ball with 2 hands, right? What has to go right for the ball to be shot with 2 hands? Like, you have to have this perfect trajectory, and both things have to work out. As soon as you shift to the proper one-hand shot, now, like, everything still has to go work out, but you have the ability to correct your mistakes, improve on your technique, and over time, you're going to find yourself in the spot. So with all of that said, and there should be a lot of attention paid to this. Now the question goes, well, how is this going to affect SGA? And I think that's a fair question. Like, but then I think kind of understanding what we're saying here
but
is
SGA.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say is SGA. This is not, and SGA has been doing these things already. You know what I'm saying? Like SGA is out there working with a true professional, working on those shots and working on the way out and way in, the pyramid of choice, I guess. And so I know Shea's been working on this. To me, Chip coming in, right, was never a Shea thing. Like Shea in itself is his own identity in that aspect of shooting and driving to the hole and that MVP All-Star player. You do what you do, right? Chip was brought in for the rest of the pieces around Shea. And if you want to look at all those pieces and exactly what those pieces are, it's Dort corner 3, right? It's Josh Giddey's top of the key 3, okay? We could go through Trey Mann's halfway between those two spots. Like this team is designed to be around Shea and really make all these other teams pay no matter what. So Shea goes to the hole, Josh Giddey's wide open for the top of the corner 3. He's got to hit that. Same thing with Dort. When he's in that corner, he's got to hit that. Trey Mannon's in that, in that tweener spot, he's got to hit that because that ball is coming fast, and those guys are helping. Their defenders are helping, so they've got to do it, and they've got to do it quickly. That's why I look at Chip and bringing in is creating all those other guys to get that shot up, and that's why it's so encouraging when you see Josh Giddey. Yes, year 1 to year 2 is big for players, but when you get this much of an increase on someone's shot, you got to go back and say, okay, how is this happening? What is he doing? What's his regiment? Because at this point, if he continues this type of upclimb, he's going to be shooting 40% in his career, which is an incredible amount.
Okay, but, bro, I'm going to disagree with you. Okay.
Okay.
You can't.
You don't think he can get 40%?
What?
Okay. I'm listening.
I'm backing up. I got stuck earlier, so.
All right.
I'm sorry, man. All right. So SGA, right?
Yeah.
He's not on an island, right? If he was shooting really high percentage, I could see it being like, oh, okay, don't worry about it. And since he's not on an island, all right, and then we're going to talk about Chip for a bit, right? Like, is Chip there to help SGA? Well, like,
oh, yes.
Right. So, yes. So, but like, here's my question. Like, what, like, some like shooting coaches, like, every player who really follows their technique shoots a certain way.
Sure.
Chip England's not that guy.
No.
Right.
Never
like,
been that guy.
He's not like a guy who says, I'm going to change your shot to conform to my technique. Right. And we know this without really knowing a lot about him, simply because the wide range of shots that he's been credited with helping, that none of them look the same. Like, they're not like, copycats, which we know plenty of people who were known to have like, oh, no, you have to do it my way. You have to do it my way. You have to do it my way. Right. And like, I think that there's a guy with the Pelicans who's really known for being a shot fixer. And, that was like Lonzo Ball. He made Lonzo Ball do it his way. No big deal. If I was working with Lonzo Ball, I might have some suggestions too. But my point is that, like, here's the question, right? Organizationally, like top to bottom, right? If you look at one of the fundamental flaws within the Thunder, it's our lack of ability to help players increase their shooting. And that sounds like a fundamental, like a fatal flaw when it comes to a basketball team. Like, it's worked some.
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
It's worked so sparingly that you have to wonder, did it work, or was it just the player was so good that they were able to make their own path? So that's where I look at it and I say, okay, SGA, I was looking at it, like his catch and shoot percentage isn't bad. Okay. But his off the dribble shooting percentage is like 17%, something like that. All right. So I think when you look at that, you say something isn't, like, he doesn't have a confidence in it. And, some people say, well, rightfully so. But his last few games, he's put up really good numbers, except for the last one when I think he put up 18 points. But without knocking down threes, like shooting a three isn't a really high priority on his list, and rightfully so. He's one of the best at getting to the basket. But I just feel like if Chip England's most valuable time, right? I know we're talking about one-on-one with Josh Giddey. That's probably his most valuable time. No. His most valuable time for the organization is the coach's practice planning sessions where he's there with Mark Daigneault and he says, here's what we need to do. Here's the fundamentals. Here's what I noticed during the games while I was writing things down. We need to get back to doing this technique, and we need to make sure it's a priority, right? For some reason, and I don't want to point fingers, but fingers are always pointed in these types of things, right? We had one of the best free throw shooting teams under Scott Brooks, and then that just went away under Billy Donovan. And it never made sense to me to just say, like, oh, the coach is at fault. I mean, it is a coaching thing, and you probably do need to point to coaching, but I always said there's more to it than that. It's actually like it must be a priorities in practice, right? Like free throw shooting was probably remember we had a coach one time that like you begin practice with a free throw shooting and everybody runs on misses, and then that let everybody know what
Rennie, baby.
Right. And it ended with free throw shooting, and those things made a difference. And I feel like when you have a guy like Chip England,
free throw shooting, took my free throw shooting from like 40% to like 70.
Yeah, 40%, dude. I mean, like 70 sounds damn good when you talk about 40, but like that's what I look at. I'm like,
shooting free throw.
Organizationally, he has the ability to impact our values, and shooting is without a doubt one of the most important things that we need to improve on.
Sure.
So what will it look like for SGA? To me, it means he's going to have more time every day to work on his fundamentals. Like we're still noticing a little bit of a hitch in his shot. The reason that's going to go away, to me,
is he's isolated in his own island. And I was trying to say this is that like because the whole idea of he's going with coach, and sitting down. We know Shea's not working out one time a day. We know he's not just working out 2 times a day. Right. He has multiple workouts. So he's going to with Coach Engelland and he's working out a system for his shooting. And him and his people, his trainers are working with him during that time. And now that doesn't mean he doesn't ever meet with Coach Engelland, for shooting stuff, but he is working constantly doing what Coach England's telling him to do on his different workouts. And
I agree.
It's just the way he is. He's professional on a whole new level.
Because I don't feel like Coach Engelland, with any player on the team, will come in and say, I want you to shoot in a different direction, shoot in a different way. It's just going to be through repetition of doing the drills, like certain motions become more fluid. And once they become more fluid, that's really the fixing. We're not looking for anything to be changed. We're looking for this like as a complete organizational value adjustment. Like once everybody's on the same page about this, then we can move forward. I was
watching workouts, man. The basics where they hold the ball out like this, flip the ball over, follow through in the hand of the cookie cutter, right? You guys, all right. Yeah. That's what was happening in some of those guys, and I'm not going to point out who it was or anything else like that, but it was the guys that needed the most help with their shots.
Bro, that's what I'm talking about too. That like when you break it down to that simple, when you take it down to that simple, it takes all of the bad habits out of it.
Completely.
Right? Like I'm not saying you can't have a bad habit when you're doing that, but man, it feels uncomfortable. It feels like what the fuck is going on? Like something's broken, almost like you have like a disjointed arm if you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it right, it feels smooth. It feels like butter, baby. Butter. Hand in the cookie jar. I was just showing my kids that the other day, and I got to give a shout out to my daughter. She's 12. She's, she just brought me I don't know what it is, a Rubik's Cube. She just finally figured out. She solved the Rubik's Cube. So pretty cool for her. But I was out at the gym with her. Or at the gym. We have a little park here outside, and her and her sister, they're both. And I was just showing them that exact drill. Yep. Like, you got to have your feet shoulder width apart. Baby. You're shooting foot a little bit in front of the other one. You got to have your knees bent right over your toes. You got to have your elbow right over your knees, your hand right over your elbow so it creates a straight line. That ball sitting on your hand, on the finger pads of your hand, should be able to put a couple fingers underneath. And then you want to reach in, like you said, in a cookie jar. We get my hand and we can
Look that wrist.
Get that, like you're reaching up on top of a refrigerator.
Yep.
Once you get up over that refrigerator, you got to want to reach your hand in. You got to have that, snap that wrist. When you get that backspin, and you want to do it like starting close to the basket, right?
Sure.
And if you ever watch like Steph Curry before in a pregame, he starts
He does the same.
close to the basket. He works all the way back to half court. Then he works all the way back in. And I've seen him, a video of him, do the entire drill without missing.
Yep.
Now, how many times do you think it takes to get to the point where you can do it without missing? And so I guess my point is the fundamentals really don't change.
No.
Right? And when he's struggling, when he's got in a game and he started 0 for 4, what do you think he thinks at that point? Do you think he's sitting there being like, Steph, you're a Superman, you're the greatest player, da-da-da? No, you know what he's thinking about? The fundamentals. Jump into your shot. Snap your wrist. Get going. Because once you get the fundamentals going, you can get into that zone where you don't have to think about it. You know that zone. I've been in that zone maybe 2 times in my whole life. And when I say that zone, I mean like I might have scored 15 points. And it felt like I was in a zone, bro. Bro, you've been in points where you've put up like 30 plus points. And it's just like you don't have to think about it. But when the going gets tough, you go back to the fundamentals.
Yeah, man. You're right. I mean, like, I think of many times that I struggled in games, but my 8th grade year, we played against Deer Creek. And I was struggling. And they had 3 guys on me at all times that game. And we couldn't hit a shot anywhere else. And I couldn't hit anything, And they realized I couldn't hit a free throw, so they put me back at the line all the time. And it was embarrassing, man. I think I probably missed 20 shots that game. And it's like, what did I do the next day? I went right to the fucking gym, did the George Mikan drill so many times. I did. And this is in 8th grade, like I understood what it took. Like I had a shitty game. In order for me to bounce back, I had to get back to the basics. And Shea's the same thing. He's doing the same thing right now. He's out there busting balls in a shoot around right now before the game. Why? Because he needs to. This is what he needs in his life. He needs to get back to the basics. It's just like any player that gives a shit about the game. When they fuck up and they don't do well, they find a gym anywhere they can find a gym, and they have somebody that rebounds for them, and they just work their ass off in the shot. And that's why we're lucky, is because that's what Chip is helping these guys with.
Right? Getting into the lab. You get in there, man.
Basics,
you
baby.
Spend time. You work on it. You work on your game.
You don't think Dort's out there shooting 253s right now on the off days? You're crazy if you don't think he's shooting 250 fucking plus threes. It's all about mechanics and basics right now. These guys need it, and we have that desire to win, and that's why the second half of the season, and the second half, and the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, this team comes out on fire. It's because they have that passion, that desire to win, and it's contagious. And when you see it with one guy, you can see it with all the guys. And you start recognizing it's not just the guys; it's the coaching staff. It's Chip Kelly. It's Chip Engelland. It's Degnod. It's everybody, man. It's everybody. They have this way of going about, and people in Oklahoma City and all the Thunder podcasts and all these other people that are out there dogging the Thunder because they're like, they don't have what it takes to win. They need another piece to do that. No, listen, you can't hold in the Tiger. You can't hold in the Tiger, and that's what they're trying to do right now. And what's going to happen is when the Tiger breaks out, all hell's going to break loose. And that's what's going to happen with this team. We're breaking out right now. And the NBA is like, okay, when they put a huge run on, cool. We won 4 games in a row. Hell yeah. But that's nothing comparatively what we're going to do when things start clicking together and we get healthy. It's going to be insane.
And I'm looking forward to J-Dub. I feel like at this point, he's about to have a breakout game. And that breakout game is going to come against the team that really, I don't know, like is most susceptible on the upcoming schedule, like the Pistons, right? There's opportunity here for him to really step up and, add his name to the scouting report for the future. He's got this ability, in my opinion, to within a year be averaging 20 points a game. But at this point, he's not there. And really what that comes from, I think, is being a smart player and understanding how to, take the right opportunities and just being patient. So he's not going to go out there and just jack up a lot of shots, but pretty soon he's going to start learning a little bit more what he's capable of because he's got this incredible ability to score.
And if I'm Coach D tonight, I'm sticking J-Dub up against Cade Cunningham. I want to see what J-Dub can do one-on-one with Cade because, I have this idea of who J-Dub, Mark and I do, of an all-star, future defensive player, all NBA team, defensive player, all NBA team. Like J-Dub is special. And so I want to see when he plays against other rookies or second-year players what he can do. And I think this is a perfect game for him to be like, hey, Coach D to be like, hey, J-Dub, you got Cade, lock his ass down, see what you can do. Because the reality is that if Cade gets locked down by J-Dub and J-Dub does insane things, then we're looking at a situation where everybody's like, okay, what the fuck just happened again? And we all that are listening to this podcast, we all think very highly of J-Dub. We all have this idea of who he can be that's really just tantalizing. And I get excited because, like, when I look at J-Dub, I say this is the perfect example of an athlete that we need on this team. Like, he's strong, he's well-balanced, he's got long-ass arms to play defense on bigger guys. He can play the defensive position 4-1. I mean, he could even, in a position where they have a small center, he could end up playing that center position and us truly go small ball. I like the idea of J-Dub. I like the idea of what he can do. And I think that's why, like, when you look at this team, it's put together so well, you get excited. You get excited about the rookie class. You get excited about the young players. And J-Dub is just one of those guys I get excited about. And you look at him and you say, okay, he could do this. And yeah, man, it's him, it's Jang, it's J Will. Like, it's the core of these guys that it's a beautiful thing. Now, we're not even talking about Chet. And I don't know what's going on, man. Like, I went on and I looked everywhere to find out if Oklahoma City had got that, player did not play or whatever exemption, right?
Yeah.
For Chet.
Bro,
and I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it. And the reason I did was because the Boston Celtics just got one for Gallinari. And I was like, oh, wait, maybe I can find one for Chet. And I can't find anything.
Bro.
And it's kind of like, like,
bro, you're doing it, bro.
Everybody, I know. I'm doing it because
wants
why
it.
not?
Why not? But here's the real question, right? Why did the team come out really quickly and say that they were going to apply for it and shut him down for the season? What was the purpose the team had for that?
Why? Because they want no pressure.
No pressure. So why the fuck are you sitting here trying to stir up pressure, bro?
Because I can't help it. I'm sticking my hand in the honey pot, dude.
No. Like, I get it, but I keep hearing people say this and like, hey, maybe Chet's going to play. Maybe Chet's going to play. Maybe Chet's going to play. Like, maybe he is. He probably isn't. If he is, the only reason they would have him play was because he was healthy and there was no pressure. If he's healthy and there's a lot of pressure, they're not going to let him play. So you're going to really make it work against him, bro. And we're going to blame you.
All right. I'll stop it. It.
But, I mean, there's also the, hey, you don't want to have a player like him waste his rookie year with 8 games at the end of the season. And I understand that mentality. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Well, I mean, what else, bro? What do you have anything else you want to talk about from the Bucks game? Because it wasn't all bad, but
no, in the end, I think we turned over the ball way too much. You know, like I think we had like 15 turnovers, which is way too much for this team. Like we did decent as far as field goal percentage. We did decent in pretty much everything except for free throws. You know, like we missed a chunk of free throws, which to me, it just goes back to we didn't capitalize on everything that needed to be capitalized. And I look at this game and I know people are going to fucking laugh at me again. But one of the reasons that we had trouble, man, was we didn't have Poku out there. I think we're starting to see how valuable Poku is, even as a 7-foot, 195-pound guy out there, presence. His defense really does make a difference. And maybe it's just because we don't have, that it factor on defense right now as far as big guys, and that's why he makes such a big difference. But I think it's more than that. And I watched this game, and it was hard to watch in the aspect of the whole time I'm like, man, Poku was there, that wouldn't have happened. Poku was there, that wouldn't have happened. You know, and maybe that's just because I'm starting to recognize his value to this team.
Well, I think you've been very impactful within the Thunder, or I don't know, whatever you want to say, chatting, fans, the ones who talk the most, standing up for Poku, and other people like you who stand up for Poku. I used to kind of feel like, all right, well, we all need to like be cautious with our Poku, excitement, right? And then I kind of got to this point where I'm like, well, I'm really liking what Poku does, but there's a lot of people who are really down on Poku. So I don't want to be like, oh, I'm the most excited Poku person, right? And so I just kind of like, I enjoyed what he did, but I didn't feel like I had to go out and talk a ton about it, right? Because I feel like if you really understand the game of basketball and you look at what he does, you realize not all of it comes out in the stat sheet. And he's doing a really good job.
That's it.
Doing the things that we liked most about what JRE brought to the table last year when he was moving the ball and things were looking really good. And he's got a few things that, JRE just doesn't. And that's okay. Like JRE brings his own sets of skills that that Poku doesn't. But now I'm still hearing these naysayers talking about Poku. And here's what I have to say about that. If he hasn't impressed you yet, okay, then you're unimpressible. You decided when you saw us pick Poku that you thought Poku would be a bust. You wanted somebody else. You wanted the pick to come out in the future and not be Poku. But if you don't see someone and say with Poku, he is really an extraordinary player who has become a very good player on his own terms. He hasn't become a catch and shoot guy first, which a lot of people felt like he would have to. And really his early games, it kind of seemed like that was what he was going to bring to the table early. He hasn't been really a lot of different things that people have felt like he had to become. And the one thing that most people felt like he would never become, he's actually become pretty good at, which is be a center. So if he doesn't impress you yet, what?
So you and I called it. We talked about it last year. From playing center.
You can give me credit, and I appreciate you throwing me in there but frankly, I don't deserve it. Because when you would say that, I would always say one thing like, really? You think, like, that's me saying I'm questioning you. So dude, I appreciate you being on top of it because people like you, now you get to set the narrative. We don't need to listen to anybody else who thinks they know a lot about Poku because, frankly, they don't understand the game. You get to set the narrative because you were right for so goddamn long in the face of so much fucking adversity.
Well, and I think it's just one of those things that with watching Sam Presti and understanding what type of players he was wanting, and listen, if he wanted a 7-foot guard, he would have played a 7-foot guard early in his career. It didn't make sense why he was playing power forward unless you're trying to play him in that center position. And how he switched over to the center position when he had to, he looked good. And if you just watch the basics, guys, and I understand, You get upset with Poku's shot, you get upset with this, you get upset with that. I get it. But if you just cut that stuff out of a young player, because that's what that is a young player learning how to play the game, okay? And you focus on what he does right on defense, you'll sit there and just be like, okay, I get this now. I understand this now. Because when you see a player that can play defense like that, that connects to players without saying anything on a defensive level, understanding that Dort is going to get beat sometimes and Shea's going to get beat, and where they get beat most to, and he can get to that spot to slow him down. Listen, what he does is so next level that I get excited about it, because he's 20 years old. He won't be 21 until December. He can't even buy bars or drinks at bars right now, guys. And what he's doing out there is truly spectacular. I can't say enough about him, and we're lucky that we have an opportunity to watch him grow inside the system. And this is not going to change the way that Twitter and some other people think about Poku. This is not us just slobbing on his knob for no reason, but this is just understanding and educating people in the aspect of, if you watch what he does right and you slow the game down to see how he's able to make that block or the deflection or the semi-block or whatever the team block it turns out to be, and you start recognizing all these things that he does, the screens that he gets around. Listen, the defensive end, he's going to be that level that everybody's going to stop and say, man, we should have gave him another spot. Because, listen, he's not going to demand a huge contract. He's not. He's not going to be like Draymond Green or Jordan Poole out there saying, I deserve $140 million. You know? He's going to be out there accepting what he gets at that $8 to $10 million a year, maybe even less to start off. And he'll be happy with that, because guess what? He's a team player. He knows what it takes to get to that level. And if we have guys like Poku buying into the system and buying into what they can do, it's next level. And when people are like, oh, hold on, Dave, don't say that Poku is going to be one of those defensive players in the NBA where he's going to be, noted as a defensive stopper. And people are going to say, okay, we can have him on the old defensive NBA team. The way that he plays, he could be that way. And when I say in 7 years, we'll see, I mean, we don't know what he's going to do in 7 years. But I do know if I have money, I'm betting on his stock. Yeah, it's who I'm betting on, because it's so low right now. You can't go wrong.
He's got game. He does. And at first, we noticed it in certain elements that have kind of really disappeared. Like, the first thing I noticed about him was that he was a really excellent passer. He thought of the game creatively, and most of the other stuff didn't really work at first with him. But now you don't really see his passing as as creative as it was. There's not the behind the back passes. There's not all this, flash and flare. But here's the thing: he still has that in him. And if you can master the basic skills, then you can bust that back out, and
that's it.
He will. So there's going to be a spot for him. I feel like he's really exceeded my expectations already. And I know a lot of people have had, crazy high ones. I felt like with him, you were taking the longest term risk, or not risk, but longest term pick, period. So if you understand that, and I think basically that's like universally accepted, right? If everybody accepts that, then whoever is first to come to a conclusion about that is usually the most wrong, right? So the key is to enter those types of arrangements and just say at least 3 years, because anything less than that is just, you're selling yourself short. But at this point, right,
dude,
his age, he's Chet's age, right? So if he had taken a different path, right, and if he had gone to college, like, what would have his numbers looked like last year? I know for the NBA they weren't like, whoa, but I'm guessing he would have put up like 18 points, maybe 10 rebounds, 5 block shots.
Ton of blocks.
And we'd be looking at him a lot like we look at Chet. But since it was for the Thunder, and since those numbers weren't great, and since the NBA is a lot worse competition, we're like, oh, well, we're already down on him. We don't need to be down on him. He's already proven that he, at his age, with his extraordinary skills that are really like not the reason he's playing, he's a competent NBA player. That's what we first noticed with Shea. He was a young player who understood how to do his role and how to help his team win, and and that's what we understand about J-Dub. If you start there, right, then all of the other stuff gets to come into play. Why? Because you earn playing time. Because you really get to the point where teams are scheming against you, and you get to go, oh, I'm going to counter your defensive scheme. And those things ended up making you look like a really special player. So it's going to take time, but not much more. It's weird. I think a lot of people are still like, oh, I want to be skeptical. Fine, be skeptical. You're wrong.
Yeah, and I feel like those are the same people that are being skeptical about Josh's shot, or skeptical about Shea, this, or Shea not doing this. And listen, negative people will just be negative people. Like, there's nothing you can do to change their mindsets. And that's where it comes in, and that's why we're here in the first place, is because we were listening to all these other podcasts in Oklahoma City, and everybody's always like, oh, this is what we changed, and this is what we changed. And they're like the furthest thing away from an expert. And yet here they are acting like they know something about the game. And they're saying stuff like, we would never pick Poku, we would never do this, we would never do that. And it's like, okay, but why? And it got to the point where it's so loud, and there's so many people, and there's no voices out there to stand up in a positive way for this team. And that's how we got started, is because we're like, let's just talk about positive about this team. Anybody that says something negative, we're going to trash on our show. And we did. We trashed so many fucking people on this show. People hate us still on the Twitter. Like, literally fucking hate us, because we did not stop. We were making fun of everybody that called this team out for all the horrible things that they thought that they saw. And guess what? They hated us because of it, and we hated them back, and it's all good because we're still here. We've got an amazing following with all the people that have been listening. We do. And it's been fun. All these people that have been reaching out, and Chris and Chencho, and I mean, I could go down the lake, Blake. We've had so many amazing conversations with so many people, and it's just been great. I know I'm missing like 15 people that have, contacted me recently, but the reality is that we just really appreciate everybody and making us feel like our voice matters, and what we're trying to say, what we're trying to lift up with this team, it matters. And yes, sometimes we go fucking way off. Like, we think Poku could be so great. Like, listen, Poku is going to be a great player inside of his game. If you expect Poku to be a great player in this imaginary world of getting triple doubles out there and doing all those amazing things, like, listen, that's not Poku's game. He's a defender, and he's going to be known as that, as somebody that can score when needed, but as a defender. And Big Shot Poku will be here for a while.
No doubt. And, this team didn't wait till the pick showed up to get better. That's one thing that you got to love about this team is like Giddey, he's got potential. He's going to come a long way. But at this point, if it was like, you look at like the Orlando Magic, and it's kind of like, hey, Paulo, we know you're young, but we don't know how to win. So if we're going to win, it's going to be because you're carrying us, right? Like, that wouldn't be a fair thing to do to Chet either. Giving them the support of veterans who are also young, like our veterans are young, but who can give them that guidepost that they need. That's what we really like seeing. So it's not been beautiful at every moment, but we have a team that's committed to winning the right way. And you can't ask for anything more. And it's a long rebuild, but in the end, like we always hear everybody say, we're going to be pretty grateful that we were there for everything. The whole fucking time, bro. Every bit of it. We're excited about that, man. You got anything else, man? I got some other stuff.
Nah, dude.
Non-Thunder shit.
Game tonight, guys, though. Oof.
Yeah, man. Get to watch the matchup of Andrew Schlecht's dreams. Shea versus Cade. I still can't let him go, dude. You still can't let Cade go. It's okay. Sometimes it's time to let go, man.
Oh, dude, who was that guy on Twitter? I sent you that post about that Steve-O was the shitting, the people that Oklahoma City Thunder fans shitted on for a while.
Well, yeah, dude.
Anyways, that was baller because we're the ones that came up with the nickname Steve-O.
Well, who knows, man? Who knows? Steve-O. I was wondering if maybe he was talking about if he was talking about Steven Adams, like the fans.
Dude, no.
All right. Well, anyway, here's my question, dude. Ben Gordon,
yes,
or Aaron Carter? You tell me.
Ben Gordon, because nobody died.
All right, dude. But he did punch a security guard at McDonald's. That's
so
it.
Much better than someone dying, though.
Well, we shouldn't laugh when we're talking about somebody dying, but let's just put it like this. We're not ending the episode on a downer, okay? Because Aaron Carter is dead. But
Why are you
there was
smiling,
a time
man?
where he dated.
Why are you smiling?
Well, look, because in the end, it's like one of those things. One of my favorite authors, Kurt Vonnegut, he said that in life we really don't know the difference between the good news and the bad news a lot of times. And there was a time where I thought Aaron Carter was pretty much the shit, dude. I thought he was pretty cool, bro. Like, I mean, he did date Lindsay Lohan and Hilary Duff at the same time. So, yeah, but I mean, he was younger than me. So I was just like, hey, some guys get all the action. And I just, yeah. Anyway, I thought it was bad news that I wasn't Aaron Carter when I was growing up, but I guess that was the good news, dude. But there we go. That's my moment of vulnerability. Now, everybody, go ahead and remember that forever.
I'm sorry, man. I should not be laughing that he died, but your delivery, bro. Good one. All right. I'm good. All right.
Josh Primo.
Yeah.
So, have you been tracking what's going on with this story, bro?
Bro, this going like right and left and all over, bro.
A bit like Aaron Carter in this way. A young upstart millionaire can't keep his pants on. Anyway, here's the thing I want to say about Josh Primo. Wasn't he from the University of Tennessee?
No, Alabama.
Alabama. Okay. Well, I was going to say, if he was from Tennessee, then that would be just like what they expect. Because wasn't that something people said about Peyton Manning? That he had this tendency to flash his dick?
I don't really read a lot of flashing dick headlines, so.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Homework assignment. Okay. Just Google Peyton Manning dick flashing. Okay.
All right.
Turn off your safe search. No, but he got accused of it
like
by an athletic trainer while he was at Tennessee. I'm not saying I should. I want to go ahead and state allegedly, and I want to retroactively apply that to everything I said about Peyton Manning. Allegedly. All right. But Josh Primo, now the police are opening an investigation. Okay. Two other women have accused him now. And it turns out that the Spurs seem to want to squash the initial allegations, and now they're being sued. Primo's side says, I don't know. An unnamed source, according to TMZ, says that it was a wardrobe malfunction. I haven't heard that one before. It resulted from him lying down on a couch in basketball shorts. I can understand that, dude, but 9 times or something like that. I mean, I would say at some point you like those shorts because you're free balling. That's my assessment.
I mean, like,
You have a lot
I
of
don't even know what
insight.
to say about this, man. Like, again, Josh Primo's people and the people that he surrounds himself are doing a great job at really muddying the water. But the reality is that the cops are going to figure this all out.
That's where, like, the multiple other accusers, it's like, at some point, your shorts have a button and you're not buttoning it. I don't know.
Like, if it sounds like she went to the Spurs brass and said, this is happening.
Right.
And they didn't do anything about it. Like, that's what's so confusing. Like, if
this is not the way for Pop's time to end, but it seems like it's
this is it. It sounds like this is like, you know how when somebody's been in leadership for too long and then you finally figure it out when it's like obviously too long. This is one of those situations, man. Like, I feel bad for Popovich because he doesn't deserve to go out like this, not on a shitty season like this. Like, man, the Lakers should hire him or something. I don't know. Go fix something real fast.
Well, yeah, dude, that would be wow. I didn't see that coming. So I need to process that for a second. But
no, I'm just saying, like, Popovich should do something other than having to deal with a shitstorm right now in San Antonio. I know that's his whole life and where it's been, but he deserves something better than that.
So did Aaron Carter, man.
God damn it, dude.
All right, but hey, so James Harden's out for a month with a foot injury, bro.
That's funny too, dude. James Harden. Surprise. Or
I lost 100 pounds. Oh, my foot hurts.
oh, it hurts.
All right, Jalen Rose. He wants what we all want, but maybe he's doing it wrong, dude. So on NBA Tonight or whatever, he asked, why hasn't the accuser of Ime Udoka, the Celtics head coach, I always struggle with his name, bro. It kills me. But anyway, and I know I said it really wrong, and I apologize for that. But why hasn't his accuser been publicly named? He asked that question out loud on ESPN. Now, he came out immediately and apologized when they came back from commercial break saying, okay, but I'm not trying. And I apologize if I feel very hesitant to even talk right now about this.
No.
Am I wrong? Bro. But the word accuser wasn't originally associated with this. Like, originally, it was an affair.
That's exactly it, bro. That's what I'm confused about, because now, did he just spill the beans as something that's supposed to be a hush-hush?
Because if he's being accused of
a sexual assault or sexual, something like that happened, that's a whole
has he
new
been
ballgame,
hired
man.
by the Nets? Is that over? Bro, I love it when I ask you a question and you know better than answering.
I'm like 99% sure they're all leaning towards that. Then all of a sudden the brakes got pumped real fast and everything just stopped saying we're leaning towards it now.
So I'm like looking at it right now, and there's a couple of reports that there are strong voices urging the Nets ownership to reconsider the plan to hire him.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
okay. Here's what I want to say. When I heard that this happened, I was talking to somebody who I will say they have some connections in the NBA, but I won't say that they're like right about everything they say. Let's just say that. But he said, stop it.
Sorry.
He said,
okay, I'm good.
He said that the rumor was, first of all, he's the one who told me that this was involving the Boston Celtics ownership, minority owner's wife. He's the one who told me that. And he also told me that it was a career-ending situation. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. He's only suspended for a year. There's no way the Celtics can end his career over this. But here we are. And the Celtics have said that somebody can go ahead and hire him, right? They've made that clear, apparently. And I thought that that was very cordial of them to do. Hey, you're suspended for us for a year, but you can go somewhere else if you want. Oh, except that if you try to go somewhere else, we're going to put pressure on you through the ownership, and we're going to change the story. It's going to go from being a consensual affair to now there's an accuser. But if he had stayed within the Celtics organization, then it's a consensual affair. But if he goes somewhere else and it's an accuser, I mean, I know like we talk about conspiracy theories a lot on this because like NBA is full of them, and we like to dip our dicks in that a little bit. But like, let's just be real, bro. What the fuck just happened, dude? Like, I feel like this is like 1984, like that's some double speak, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, like this is how it's been the whole time. It's not been this way the whole time. As far as I understood, this was a consensual situation, and there is no police report that I'm aware of, or investigation, or even my understanding is even there's no accusation that I've heard, but there's some big money pressure going on in the NBA that's saying if you hire him, that's a big no-no. And I think I'd like to say one thing. Fuck you. Fuck you. Say what he did as an accusation, like that there is an accusation, or let him get a job. Yeah.
This is insane. Like
fucking insane.
I don't even know what to say like about this right now, is because the reality is that the it's like a revolving door of what the information is coming out. And maybe it's part of the whole, choo-choo train of knowledge of trying to fuck everything up so that when he gets hired for the Nets, it's like, well, there's just so much crap going around. We're just not going to listen to anything, like maybe that's the situation that's going on.
It feels like a form of McCarthyism.
So painful.
Or like, it feels in a way like, almost like medieval. Like, oh no, you did something.
Yeah.
Right. That now has, I don't know, like you've destroyed your name, right?
Yeah.
It would be unethical for anybody to hire you. You are no longer amongst the good named people. And it's like, well, does he get his day in court? Hell no. Oh, hell no. Why not? Oh, that would be too embarrassing for the Celtics.
Yeah. The Celtics can't handle that.
Right. So that's, I think, what Jalen Rose was asking. And then it was like, oh no, this is there's an accuser. And I'm like, what's the accusation? Well, we can't tell you the accusation. It's all hush hush, bro. Well, I don't want to get too carried away, man.
But they wouldn't, like, he was saying that the reason that the accuser won't be named is because in his thing, it was because it was somebody that worked underneath him, right? Is what Jalen Rose said.
That's the official story. But how many times has the official story changed, bro?
I don't know. It just seems strange now. Like,
and here's one thing I've learned, bro. You have good instincts. I have okay instincts. But at this stage, with anything, if we look at it and we're like, this doesn't seem right, there seems like there's more to the story. It always seems like it's a slow drip of information. And it's like, we only are told what they want us to know right before we would have found it out anyway, but from a different source, right? So it's pure damage control, right? And it's done at a highly professional level because we're talking about billions and billions of dollars into these organizations, and frankly, they have the resources. So it's all about, oh, well, ESPN's about to run this story. Well, we better take the first crack at it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's mind control at the very basic level of whatever, the fact that media is in its own way propaganda, and they're trying to control the narrative, and that's fine. Everybody wants to control the narrative. That's how you win these fucking things. But until further notice, until I hear more information, I think that they're fucking him over by trying to give him a worse suspension than Deshaun Watson got. I mean, like, they want to end his career permanently.
Yeah. Well, and as the time comes and the information comes, and it will come, because once the Nets get a hold of it, there's no holding back. You know, we didn't hire him because, you know?
I don't know, man. Fucking Nets owner has been a little bit of we'll call him a company man, if you will, at different points. Like, he's the one who really, really went after Morey to get fired. I gotta be better about this allegedly thing. Allegedly, he led a campaign to get him fired because, like, he does what needs to be done. So here's the thing: if the Nets get right up to it, right, and they're just like, you know, like, you're like about to go in, and then you're like, and then all of a sudden it's like, why not? What was wrong? What was wrong with that pussy? Like, I don't know. It's just diseases, you know what I mean? And then everybody else is like, well, why should I fucking go there? Wow, that was really bad. The only thing I promise is we won't delete anything, so I apologize, because that should not have been said out loud, man.
Man, like, dude.
One bad rumor, man, it can fuck up high school. Happens to the best of us, dude.
It's shitty, bro.
So we can change the subject. Let's talk about somebody who said something worse than me. And I always say this guy's name bad, but Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh.
Did I say it right? Anyway, says a ref used an obscenity. He called him a bitch-ass motherfucker. Would you like to guess which ref did this? Allegedly.
Well, first of all, bitch-ass motherfucker with Dinwiddie.
Said it about his teammate. Said it to his teammate because he got a technical when he slapped, and cursed. But he didn't mean it at the ref. He's saying, but the ref went and teed him up and then talked to one of his teammates and called him a bitch ass motherfucker. That ref. Do you want to guess or do you want me just to tell you?
Go ahead, tell me.
Tony Brothers.
Really?
Longest tenured ref in the NBA. According to my very, very short research. I read the article, and I think it said that in there. But, so yeah, that's a little unusual. But is this something that just happens with, NBA refs? Is they just, get crotchety?
Why wouldn't it? This is like anything else. Someone goes, that was a stupid motherfucking call. Of course you're going to be like, bitch-ass motherfucker. Technical. What do you guys, this is language going back and forth, guys. It's not one way. What I hear you saying is Dinwiddie needs to stop being a bitch ass motherfucker. Boom. What else do you want? He just got called out for being a bitch ass motherfucker, and then bam.
I would say that attitudes are contagious, and I would say that how long would it take anybody, after they start hanging out with Luka, to turn into a bitch ass motherfucker? I would say that. That's kind of like a baseline. If you're going to put on that Mavs uniform, you have to be a bitch-ass motherfucker.
Called it out, man. That's exactly it. Bitch-ass motherfuckers.
Well, that's all we got to say. And look, we respect Luka's game. We do.
Oh, yeah.
We just wish he wouldn't be a bitch-ass motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. Keep the crying out of it.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, go out there and put up unbelievable stats. That's fine. But if you do that and you're a bitch-ass motherfucker, there's just no way around it. We're that's up to you. Go put up numbers, right? And then have an attitude that's yeah, I owned you and I know it. But, if you walk out of there, crying with 43, 17, and 9, we're going to call you a bitch-ass motherfucker.
And I think what Luka's going to do for the NBA is truly spectacular if he stays injury free, because Luka is a special player. But and I appreciate this year he hasn't gone to the crying of the refs as much.
Oh,
and
that's been there, dude. I haven't watched that many
it's
games.
Not as much. The few games that I've seen of him, he hasn't like consistently gone crying. But
what good does it do him? I mean, he puts up Wilt Chamberlain like numbers. Like, just don't be a bitch ass motherfucker.
That's it. Don't be a bitch ass motherfucker.
Bro, I want
We're
to
good.
tell you, man, I appreciate you covering for me while I went pee in the middle of the episode. I bet most people didn't even notice, dude. That was some great shit, dude.
We all got to cover for each other once in a while.
I did not shit.
But
if I had time, I mean, no doubt about that, man. So
yeah.
we got a little bit of a scheduling update to give everybody. Tuesday, Thursday, we're going to have new episodes. We will not have one
Just this
Wednesday.
week.
We will not have one Friday. You know, that's just how the games line up. And like you mentioned at the beginning, our fishing trip. So we got our priorities. But
fishing trip. And then we get to watch games too. Friday we get to watch a game with each other. Then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we get to see like 3 or 4 games together, which is crazy. So
yeah, it's going to be a blast. Get some wings, get some beer.
yes.
Medical marijuana.
Fucking Lake Erie wings, bro, are the best. Buffalo area wings.
My rectum could use a little less of the heat this year, but we'll see what happens, bro. We will see.
Dude, especially if we're gonna be in a canoe. We gotta be careful with that shit. Imodium. There we go. We'll bring the Imodium.
Bring the Imodium, and we will be back, guys. We appreciate you, and we will see you soon. Thanks for joining us. Fuck yeah, baby.